Our viewers, welcome again to the Entrepreneur TV show. My name is Lucy Jeffrey. I'm happy to have you. I would like to let you know that I started this show so I could be able to support entrepreneurs and business owners and licensed professionals so we can bring their voice out and for you to get to know who is out there in case you need the services that they offer. But I would like to let you know that this show is sponsored by the Entrepreneur Nation, and the Entrepreneur Nation is a business development group that we started here in London, Ontario. And the Entrepreneur Nation brings business owners, licensed professionals together so they can refer clients to each other. So we are group marketing for businesses and for entrepreneurs. We help them to save money through their marketing efforts. And so today I have a guest that I want to introduce to you. And it's the first time that I'm talking to a clothing stylist for men. So when I turn the screen, we'll be able to welcome Earl Rich. Hi, how are you doing?
Hey, Lucy, I'm well. How are you?
Good. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
It was so great to get to know you because it's the first time that I'm talking to someone who does what you're doing.
There's always a first time for everything, Lucy.
Exactly. And I was so happy that we got connected on LinkedIn. I reached out to you and you answered my message right away. So we're happy to have you.
Thank
Now,
you for reaching out.
for sure. So I want you to take us through what you did before you actually became a clothing stylist for men, right? So what did you before that? Give us a bit of history so our viewers can get to know you more.
Yes. Well, as anybody's journey, there's quite a number of steps before you get to where you are. I grew up in England, in a place called Manchester. And the interesting thing is, so when I came here, I had every intention to actually go to Manitoba. That's where most of my family resided. And so I bought a ticket to go. I stopped off in Toronto for what was supposed to be 2 weeks, and I stayed in a hotel. And on the Friday, I was meant to fly out to Winnipeg. Unfortunately, I didn't go, but I had to find somewhere to live because the hotel had a conference that weekend and all the rooms were booked. So I had to scurry around looking for accommodation, and I never looked back. So I didn't know anybody in Toronto when I arrived. I had days to find accommodation. And it really showed me that the resolve that we have internally once we're faced with difficult situations, how we can really dig deep and pull out results.
Wow, that's a story of the immigrant. I think you have seen me posting my stories on LinkedIn of how I came also in Toronto and I didn't know anybody, right? Came with
Right.
my son, didn't know anybody because I came from Kenya Southern Hemisphere. Now
Mm.
I'm in the Northern Hemisphere. I lost direction. It's my 6-year-old who was telling me, Mom, let's go this way. So that's the story. And I'm happy that you actually made it. And now this is where you are. So we know your story. I wanted to ask you then, so you decided to go into doing business, became an entrepreneur. What made you decide to become an entrepreneur?
Yes. So it was something that was always at the heart of what I wanted to do, but didn't really know what to do. And so it was only when I was working in men's luxury menswear that I saw a gap, and that gap spoke to me as well. So I found that men during that period were having difficulties with their business casual, and they didn't really know what to wear. They had to be smart, but they didn't know what to wear. And so working in luxury retail at the time, I could easily sell you, some shoes and some shirts and some trousers and some jackets. But there was more to it than that. I saw image, I saw communication, I saw using clothing as a tool. And I was dealing with some very interesting, high net worth and influential people. And I thought, you know what, we can do better with that clothing actually. Unfortunately, working in the retail aspect of it, it didn't really particularly allow for that because you want to sell more clothes as opposed to dressing somebody for events and their life as well, and their careers.
Thank you. That's really great that you worked in the clothing store. And I know people come there for a very short time and you have to help them make a decision for a very short time. And
Right,
so then you decided to make it a business for yourself so you can spend more time with your clients and help them to make better decisions.
right.
So then tell me, you became an executive style consultant. What
Yes.
exactly is that? And for professionals, right? You identified a gap and you decided to help them in more details. So, what does that mean? Tell us a little bit what you do in that area.
Okay, so executive style consultant, I needed to differentiate myself from just regular stylists because they're out there. Image consultants are out there. But as an executive style consultant, my differentiation was focusing on executives, how they look, how they dress. So, what I like to say is, I work with men to improve where they look and communicate with their clothing, aligning their style with their brand. I also create perceptions and just improve their general overall look as well. So that's what that actually means. So if for say for instance you are a outgoing person, but your clothing doesn't suggest that, then how do we then align that with your brand? How do we make you look more outgoing along with your personality? Or somebody who may feel that, I want to create a certain perception and mystique about myself. How do we go about doing that? Again, I sit down with them and we discuss how we're going to, the practices and the things we're going to do in order to actually create that perception.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. So, Rita, then you help career professionals and business owners as well, because um, I can understand what you're saying, because when I worked in the banking sector, I remember that they said dress for the next job, not the current one, because you already have this job, so dress for the next one. Uh, and so then that's what you are helping them, because if you tell me dress for the next job, what do I know about what I need to be going for, right? Yeah, and so I totally understand. And I see that you help people, professionals who are looking to progress their careers. You help business owners and entrepreneurs to move to the next level. So you help I feel like walk the talk. So if you want to become from this level to go to an executive position, then how do you do it in terms of even the clothing aspect to get to that level? Is that what you help them with? Let me know a little bit about that.
Yes. So basically, clothing is a tool and it's a communication tool. And we only have 7 seconds to actually communicate a message to somebody because people are making their minds up. We're looking at you before they even talk to you. So that's how clothing is very important. So it's a tool to go along with your skill sets as well. So basically, aligning all those and bringing those things together helps you then communicate and really fortify who you are. So what I will do then is sit down with you, having a discussion around the things you like, you dislike, and the direction that you're going in. And we also sit down and discuss where it is you want to be and what does that actually look like. Then from there, I can begin to put together clothing selections. So whether that be colors, whether that be fabrics, or whether it just be combinations as well. Things that are going to be appropriate for the setting and things that are going to be appropriate to communicate the message that you want to communicate to.
Wonderful, great. And when I reached out to you and talked to you, I thought about several things, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. I see that, say, like the housing market has gone way up. Houses now are selling for 1 point something million,
Mhm.
right? It unlike the past when they were selling for 500. So if I am a realtor, a real estate agent who want to sell a 1.5 million home, am I going to dress the same way I was dressing 10 years ago when the homes were 250, right? So clients need to look at me and see that I can actually handle a million. If I'm a financial advisor who says that I only serve clients who have $1 million to invest for them, I need to look like a $1 million person that can deal with a 1 million. And the only way I can appear that way is based on what I wear. Is that correct?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, people have expectations when they're dealing with somebody of how that person should present. So when they open the door or when they meet you in person, do you meet their expectation? And so there are subtle nuances that people may look for. So that could be your shoes, the quality of the shoes. It could be the colors that you wear. It could also be down to brands as well. Some brands, maybe for women, it could be like the type of purse that they actually carry. For men, it could be the type of ties, and also just the total ensemble of actually how it presents. So yeah, so there's still subtleties that people look for when it comes down to what they expect from somebody who's selling a particular service to them. Does it fit in? Do they fit in? Do they look like they know what they're doing? And do they look like part of my group as well? So I don't know if you've heard of it. There's a current show right now called Succession, and one of the buzz terms at the moment is quiet luxury, and that is down to basically the brand out there that deals with high end fabrics. And people can understand and see how the fabric flows and how it performs, and they know that that is quality. So as a result, it may not have a big showy, shouty name, but they know the way that the garments are cut and the way they fit and the way they fall, that's quality. And those are key subtle nuances that people can actually pick up on, especially people operating in those brackets.
Awesome, great. And so really also thinking about, because I'm an entrepreneur, thinking about even the pricing and how we price our services. Like if I'm too expensive, like I'm selling something very expensively, then I should match up, right?
Right.
I should match up. I shouldn't be telling people that I charge 500 an hour, but I don't look 500 an hour. So I
Mm.
think I get what you're saying, that the clothing matters, based on where we want to go with it and our businesses and our professions.
Definitely, most definitely. Clothing is a tool, and it's a tool that people should use effectively. And unfortunately, many people don't. They just get dressed according to how they get dressed in the morning, and it's a second thought. It should not be a second thought. Clothing should be actually absolutely deliberate.
Awesome, great to know. So then, I want to ask you to take our viewers step by step to the three services that I saw on your website, and our viewers can are welcome to take a look. So, what are the services that you offer to men? Walk us through step by step from when you meet them, when they decide to become your clients. What are the services?
Okay, so my essential first top tier service is a full service for executives for men, and that's hands on. Now, that's for the man who wants a complete wardrobe overhaul. It's five. I call it a capsule selection collection. So therefore, there are five separate outfits that we put together. So it starts with a consultation. There's an interview. There's questions. Then I can actually go out and put together a mood board. Kind of gives you a direction of where we're going to go and how it's going to feel and how it's going to look. There's also a pre-shop where I go out into the stores and just gather information and clothing as well. And then the client then follows me for their shop. So basically, it's a curated shopping experience for them. Things are tried on, edited as well, and tailored to if things are too big or too small or need to be extended. And then we return again. And there's also follow up too, which is very important at this stage because not everybody knows what they're doing. And so for those five outfits, they get follow up calls as well, which is by Zoom. And we can discuss what you've been doing or wearing with those outfits as well to see if you're hitting the nail on the head and getting the execution correctly, as we discussed previously. Then we have another one whereby we go out and it's just a one shop situation whereby somebody may have an idea of what they're doing, but they still want some help. They want to refresh. And so, again, it's curated shopping experience. There's an interview prior to that to get an idea as to where we want to go. There's also a mood board put together as well. And in addition to that as well, you get a digital file as well. I call it a digital lookbook that kind of gives you an idea as to what your outfit should look like. And lastly, is more so it's a virtual executive style consultant where we sit down, have a look at what you're currently doing right now, analyze that, give you some pointers, again, provide you with a bit of a lookbook and a mood book as well, mood board, should I say, and that kind of gives you direction as to where you want to go. So if you don't particularly want to spend for the top tier service, then this gives you the tools and tricks that you need to go alone for yourself. Because not everybody's willing to spend $3,500 on a blazer. They may want to spend less. And so obviously the service has to justify the outcome as well, the money you're going to be spending too. So my entry level point basically is $1,500, starting from there and up according to what your needs require to.
Wonderful, great to know. So, that you also have like self-serve where you help people and then you consult, provide them with the information they need, and then they go and do it themselves, or
Right.
they can go with you to do it. So that's great. So
Mm.
I wanted to ask you then, based on that, who do you find are your ideal clients?
Right. Great question, Lisa. That's a great question. So ideal clients are entrepreneurs, people who are in business for themselves and who just don't necessarily have the time or even the background in clothing to actually present themselves in the manner that they want to, especially when they're going for money, right? People want to look their best. And I've seen some horror stories when people are going for money and they put on these suits and these shirts and these ties, and you're like, my gosh, is anybody going to give you any money based on what you're wearing? So yeah, it's about refining that look. Also, people who are in legal field and lawyers entering their more executive partnership positions. Um, Executives, people in the VP track as well, VPs, EVPs, SVPs, and above C-suite, people who really thoroughly understand the power of clothing and the importance of it too. Not everybody understands it, not everybody gets it, but those that do, they put a lot of value and weight behind it. In addition to that, anybody else who, you know what, I don't particularly turn anybody away. Those will be my target people, lawyers, executives, people in finance as well. Finance is a big one too, actually, because obviously you're representing big money at times and managing people's money too, and you want to look the part. So finance is also a big market for me too. But again, I don't particularly turn anybody away. If you feel you qualify and you see the importance of clothing, then I'm very happy to work with you.
Excellent. Great. Nice to hear that you don't turn anybody away. Because I believe, or we all believe, that it's going to give people a chance and then they decide. And also, some people may not be aware, right? So, like,
Mm,
I did not know about your existence until I met with you on LinkedIn, right? So, that's
right.
why the more we bring you out, the more people will be aware that there's someone like you can help them.
Mm,
But I wanted to ask you, touch this very briefly, but it's going to go right deep into a little bit of details. You said you have told us who are your ideal clients: lawyers, financial advisors, mortgage agents, realtors, licensed professionals, entrepreneurs, and those are the people we have in our network.
mm,
That's where you find them. But what I'm sure you must be working with people who have a budget, right? They can't just wake up and decide that they need your service, executive service, without a budget. So,
mhm.
what are your rates? How does that go?
Right. So, like I said, my introductory level would be is $1,500 to, and I go from there. So that would get you the 1 hour virtual executive consultation, where I provide you with the tools and tricks that you're going to need in order to actually go alone and do it yourself. Because as I said before, that not everybody has the budget to be spending, thousands on items of clothing. Some people's budget is smaller, but they do need the help and they do need the tips and they do need the direction as to how about going and clothing themselves. So that's why I start at that, and then it goes up from there, according to your needs as well.
Awesome, great. And I totally agree with you here, because if somebody is going to be looking at career progression, let's say a lawyer looks at career progression that will pay them 200,000 a year, why not spend $500, $1,500 with you for consultation to move them to that next level, right? So I totally understand.
Definitely. Because the thing that at the end of the day, especially when you're client facing as well, there's an expectation,
Yeah.
right? And one of the things I've realized as well is that when it comes to men, nobody's particularly taught them how to dress, right? Men wear clothing that their spouse or their loved one likes them, or their brother or sister has liked them in, or a relative, right? Nobody really has spent the time to actually go through and say, okay, you know what, these things will get the job done. So that's the difference with how I approach it. What gets the job done?
Exactly. And we've gone shopping, like we all know that we go shopping to the mall, you pick something and you ask the person They were just employed there not because that they are stylists. And I've had people telling me, "Oh yeah, that is good because I have it. I have
Mm,
something like that." I'm like, I was not asking you if you have it. I was asking you to help me to see if it would work well for me.
mm.
So I get it where you're saying that if people really want to move to the next level, hiring a consultant is great. And I'm happy we have you as a consultant for men. And I'm looking forward to meeting a consultant for women as well. We don't want to be left out.
That's so true. But yeah, just on that point though, because I think you made a very valid point that when people go shopping
Yeah.
to retail sales, and that's the differentiator between myself and those who resell associates, is the probing, is the understanding, is the knowledge and the awareness behind the direction you're wanting to go. When you go shopping, they just ask you, I want a suit, I want a shirt, I want a tie. Okay, I can give you that.
Yeah.
They're not probing. And that's the difference.
Yeah, they just look for sizes and send you sizes. That's all you want, not the color. What is it for, and all that. Anyways, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more with you, not only on TV, but out there on social media. So, here is what I want to ask you. I think I read this somewhere. I don't know if it's on your website or online as I was doing a bit of research. What is enclothed cognition and its impact on the way men dress? What's that?
That's a great term, listen. I'm glad you're asking that. So basically, enclosed cognition illustrates how clothing impacts humans' cognition based on the co-occurrence of its symbolic meaning and physical wearing of attire. So essentially, it was a study done by two doctors, Dr. Adam and Dr. Galinsky in 2012, and they put um, white coats on two groups of people and told them you were doctors or you were a painter, and basically they monitored their behavior, and they noticed that the way people talked and their posture changed when they were doctors versus when they were the painters, how it changed then. So I also say, okay, you know what, when you're dressing formally versus wearing in sweatpants, you dress formally, your tone changes, your diction, your language changes, and your posture changes. But when you're wearing sweatpants, then sometimes there's a slide into informality. There's a slide into maybe your posture, behavior changes, and the words you use changes too. So the clothing you wear really impacts how you behave and how you project.
Wow, I didn't know about that. But now
Mm,
I think about it because if I'm wearing a suit and going to this executive meeting, I work like an executive.
right.
But if I'm wearing my sportswear and walking in the streets in the evening, I just walk like a person walking, right?
There you
Yeah.
go.
So I can imagine now what you're saying that clothes
Mm.
make the entire difference and then give you the confidence and all that. I didn't know about that.
Yes, it truly impacts and influences your behavior, how you see yourself, and also how others see you too.
I definitely want to talk with you more about that
Mm.
and bring it out there. And thank you for saying that. So let me ask you, the pandemic came around and people didn't care what they were wearing because they were on Zoom. They could do business virtually. How did the pandemic impact your business?
Yes, great question again. The pandemic basically just decimated my business. Nobody particularly, well, the stores were closed, number one, and people just retreated into what was comfortable, which was sweats, right? Yes, they had a few calls here and there, but nothing really much. But what emerged from that really was acceptance of virtual consultations. I mean, it was something I thought about, something I toyed around with very loosely and lightly prior to that. But then there was this acceptance and there was an uptake. And so that became more of my business. Virtual consultations, people sitting in the comfort of their home, talking, talking about what their aspirations were for their clothing and themselves. And it just grew from there, basically. So I went from doing more in person things to more virtual things, which was good because now my reach is further as well. Having a number of clients in the US helps too, because they came on board quicker than Canada. And yeah, so virtual was a good thing that came out of it. So I was beginning to rebuild the whole thing.
Thank you for letting us know. And I'm sorry to hear that your business was affected. Several
Mm.
businesses were affected, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to jump back. So, then my question to you is, how has men's attitude towards clothing changed post pandemic?
Yes. So prior to that, everybody's in sweats and very casual. And there's been a thirst. There's been a thirst to look better, to feel better. Everybody gained a few pounds, right? And people were kind of very slobby, not really kind of looking their best or feeling their best. But as restrictions had been lifted and we came back to a new sense of normality, then people began to care again. They went to the gym, they were walking, they were more physically active, and they started to look at themselves and thought, you know what, I want to look as good as I feel, and so that's changed as well. So the sweats have gone out, and more tailored clothing is coming back in, more suits, more jackets, and more shirts, more nice dress pants, and even shoes as well. I mean, um, there was a time when men just wanted to wear runners. Now that they're happy to wear dress shoes with laces, so that's been a big difference.
You know what? That's a great perspective that I didn't think about, right?
Mm.
People's body weights and body shapes change. So those clothes they were wearing before the pandemic can no longer be worn after the pandemic, right? Now, let me ask you then, as we come towards the end, what distinguishes you from or makes you different from other consultants out there? And the consultants could be even the retail store advisors, because everyone is going to them to get advice. So, what distinguishes you, and why should people come to you?
Yes. So people should come to me because, as an executive style consultant, I specialize in a certain key area for a certain group of people, understanding what their needs are and what they're trying to do too. So my point of view basically is asking a lot of questions, is delving deep into the reason behind things and the reason for things as well, and then working with you to actually achieve those goals. So it can be an ongoing relationship. It's not just about selling you clothing because I don't get a commission for clothing. I charge you a flat fee for the service, and that really is down to my knowledge and awareness. And that puts aside the fact that you can shop confidently, knowing that he's not charging me for each item. The money is put aside. We understood it's going to be this amount of money, and then you can go freely and shop confidently with the advice I've actually given, as opposed to going to a store and feeling that perhaps this person doesn't have my best interest at heart. Perhaps this person doesn't quite understand what it is I'm trying to achieve, because those questions and that information isn't asked or required when you walk in. You just ask, I want a nice suit, and they give you a nice suit. But it could be the wrong color, it could be the wrong fit, it could be the wrong fabric, right? So all those little details really distinguish me and set me apart from somebody who's actually in luxury retail. And also, in addition to that, a luxury retail sales associate can only sell what they sell. I can give you more, greater breadth.
Awesome, great. Thank you so much. You've really explained a lot that I personally did not know. And I thank you so much for that, How. And I also want to thank you that because you made a decision to join the Entrepreneur Nation and big network of
Mm.
professionals, people who are your potential clients. So
Mm.
you are new to us, but how do you see the future of your presence within the Entrepreneur Nation?
Yes. So I view networking as a very key to actually growing business and relationships. And the Entrepreneur Nation was an excellent choice, I believe. You've got some great quality people there that are there to help and also to assist, and who you can help and assist to as well. And one thing that I like to subscribe to is, who can you help? It's not about being helped. It's like,
Yeah.
who can you go and help? And that's what I like to approach. So yeah, the Entrepreneur Nation, I'm looking forward to actually getting in deep with it.
Awesome. And you know the good news about our members, how you just reach out to them and say, hey, I'm also part of the Entrepreneur Nation, and they'll be so welcoming. They want to talk to you. And so I'm happy that you're here, and I see great success for you as people get to know you. Thank
Mhm.
you so much.
Thank you so much, Lucy. It's been a great chat. Great chatting to you.
Awesome. And our viewers, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.